Oh, please join our fine establishment.
Thank you.
We do have chairs and seats.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We've taken a whole stack of sources, articles, some historical analysis, first-hand accounts, and we've distilled it all down into the most essential, surprising knowledge just for you.
And today we are taking a really fascinating journey.
We really are. We're going to the Netherlands, to the city of Deventer, which for one weekend every December pulls off this astonishing cultural feat.
It becomes the most authentic, living Victorian English town in the entire world.
It's a complete paradox, right? Our sources really dig into the mechanics of the Deventer Charles Dickens Festival.
And it's an event that completely transforms this ancient Dutch city into what can only be described as a seamless, living 19th-century tableau.
And that's our mission for this deep dive. We want to unpack detail by detail how Deventer actually pulls off this level of immersion.
Because it's not just about, putting up some decorations. It's about a total historical commitment.
Built by an entire community. And it's all focused on the historic Bergkwartier,
which is the oldest, most picturesque part of the city. The entire festival's identity is drawn right from Dickens' work.
And that means embracing all those intense Victorian contrasts.
Exactly. The glittering wealth, the grinding poverty, the joy, and the systemic hardship. It's all there.
Before we really get into the nuts and bolts, let's just talk about the scale of this.
It's massive.
Right. Quick fact drop. This festival runs entirely on passion. It involves over 1,000 volunteers.
1,000. A community effort of that size is it's monumental.
And you can see the results. It attracts tens of thousands of visitors. Not just from the Netherlands, but Germany and even further.
And what the research really points out is that even with its longevity, we're talking decades, it avoids feeling commercial.
How so?
Well, it feels more intimate, almost spiritual. The sources describe it less like a holiday market and more like a shared living cultural ritual.
A ritual where the past isn't just observed.
No, it's actively inhabited.
Okay, let's unpack this from the very beginning. Deventer has its own incredibly deep history. So how did a proudly Dutch city become the world's epicenter for celebrating a quintessentially English writer?
Well, the origins go back to the early 1990s, and the idea didn't come from some big commercial enterprise. It came from a group of really enthusiastic local residents and cultural organizers. They were basically looking for a creative way to celebrate the historical character of the Bergkwartier itself.
So the location was the real spark. But I have to ask, isn't there a bit of a contradiction in using medieval Dutch architecture to represent 19th century London?
That's the fascinating insight our sources highlight. Deventer is one of the oldest cities in the Netherlands. We're talking over 1,000 years old.
Wow.
And while the architecture isn't strictly Victorian, the preserved medieval layout, the narrow, winding cobblestone streets, the little courtyards, the steep gabled roofs, it naturally mirrors that dense, almost chaotic urban feel that Dickens wrote about.
So it provides the right texture, the historical density needed for that Victorian feeling.
It's the perfect backdrop.
And it seems like the grassroots element is what makes it all work.
It's absolutely critical. The festival's authenticity really hinges on it being almost entirely non-commercial and volunteer-driven.
And the research says residents actually open their own homes.
They do. They open their medieval homes, their shops, even their front rooms to performers and guests. This level of community buy-in, it ensures the whole illusion is driven by genuine dedication, not by a profit motive.
So right from that modest start in the 90s, the organizers saw something bigger than just entertainment.
Exactly. It was about educating, inspiring, showing this profound respect for history and storytelling.
And that vision just grew over time.
It evolved, yeah. The historical accuracy, the costumes, the scene setting, it's all gotten better and better over the decades. It went from enthusiastic amateurism to meticulous, well-researched historical awareness.
And that's what makes it more than just a typical Renaissance fair.
Far.
Okay, here's where it gets really compelling for me. The sources keep using this phrase, a living tableau. They say the city becomes almost unrecognizable. Let's define that term first, because it feels key to the whole experience.
Right. So a living tableau, in this context, it's not a static museum piece. You're not looking at history from behind a rope.
It's active.
It's active. It's character-driven street theater. The setting is fully immersive, and the narrative just unfolds spontaneously all around you, the visitor. The goal is to make the city's historical fabric come alive.
Which means they have to physically erase the 21st century. So how do they actually do that? How do you hide an ATM or neon sign?
It takes an immense, really focused effort. Every single modern element has to be addressed. Street signs are taken down or covered with old-fashioned wooden placards.
In a shop.
Contemporary shop displays are painstakingly concealed, sometimes behind temporary wooden facades, or they're draped with heavy canvas to look like 19th-century market awnings.
I'm even thinking about basic infrastructure, fire hydrants, trash cans.
Exactly. Modern trash cans are swapped out for wooden barrels. Any visible tech, like CCTV cameras or digital keypads, is meticulously masked.
And the lighting must be a huge part of it.
It's fundamental. The modern streetlights are all turned off. They're replaced by hundreds of flickering gas lamps, oil lanterns, and open braziers. That shift in lighting just immediately changes the entire mood. It really reinforces that feeling of stepping back in time.
So once that backdrop is set, the story is delivered through the actors.
Through the characters, yeah.
Which brings us to the costumes. The research shows that participants spend months preparing their outfits.
Oh, it's serious craftsmanship. They're sourcing specific fabrics like wools and heavy cottons, often sewing by hand, and they're rigorously studying period illustrations to get it right.
The range of costumes is critical for the story.
Right.
It's not just the wealthy.
Not at all. You have the finely tailored suits and the elegant ladies in crinolines, of course, but they are just as meticulous about portraying poverty. The frayed coats on the street children, the specific grime on a chimney sweep's face, every detail reinforces a social class.
And that visual hierarchy makes the living narrative so powerful.
It does, because as a visitor, you aren't just watching a parade, you're walking among this hierarchy. You might bump into a stern schoolmaster correcting a child, or see a small drama play out over a day's wages.
It sounds incredibly cinematic, like a massive temporary film set. I can see why the sources say photographers just fly up to this.
Absolutely. Nearly every angle is a perfectly composed historical scene.
And the performance never feels forced.
No, because it's the community's genuine absorption into their roles that sells it. They suspend disbelief for themselves, and that makes it easy for the visitors to do the same.
And if we connect this back to Dickens' purpose, it's fascinating how the festival uses these characters to weave in his broader social commentary.
It achieves a genuine depth that goes way beyond simple entertainment.
I mean, you have the iconic cast walking around, Oliver Twist, Scrooge, Miss Havisham. They're right there next to you.
They are, but the sources are clear that the characters are inspired by more than just the novels. They're inspired by the social reality Dickens was critiquing.
Social inequality, child labor, industrialization.
All of it. And that commentary isn't just talked about, it's enacted right there on the street.
So what does that look like? What are those visual contrasts a visitor would see?
You see the wealth gap in real time. A well-dressed aristocrat might have to literally step around a group of ragged beggars. You'll see charitable figures, maybe women distributing soup or coins, which directly echoes the social reforms Dickens was calling for.
It sounds like incredibly effective interactive storytelling.
It is. The performers stay deep in character, responding to you as if you're a resident of a 19th century town.
And that must create these amazing, spontaneous moments.
It does. Moments of humor, drama, sometimes real warmth. You'll see a beadle from a workhouse walking his rounds, or a street vendor passionately arguing over the price of an apple. These are the small, improvised moments that really stick with you.
And this is where we circle back to you, the learner. The festival becomes this powerful, informal, educational experience. By blending entertainment with this very visible social commentary, it introduces younger generations to Dickens's world in a way a book can't.
It bypasses passive reading and inspires empathy. I mean, that was Dickens's ultimate goal. When you're standing next to a shivering street urchin, the reality of that inequality becomes visceral.
So the sources also emphasize that this event engages all the senses, which is what makes it feel so alive. Let's look beyond the visuals. The soundscape.
Sound is a fundamental narrative tool here.
Yeah.
The entire Bergkwartier is filled with period-appropriate music.
No modern sounds to break the spell.
None. You hear traditional carols, brass bands, string ensembles, small a cappella choirs.
Oh, and those choirs performing in the narrow, stone-walled courtyards. The acoustics must be incredible.
They are. You get these moments of quiet beauty right in the middle of the bustling crowds. The music really sets the emotional tone, contrasting joyful folk tunes with more somber compositions.
And then there's the ambient noise.
The sounds modern cities have lost.
Give us some of those details.
Well, think about the total absence of traffic. Instead, you hear the specific clatter of wooden cartwheels, the clopping of horse hooves on cobblestones. You hear the calls of street vendors advertising their wares. You hear and smell the crackling of open fires.
It gives the whole environment this specific historical texture.
It does.
Let's move to food. On a cold December weekend, food and drink must play a huge role.
It's absolutely critical for grounding the experience. And the vendors are all in character, in costume. They're offering traditional treats that blend Victorian influences with Dutch winter specialties.
I'm talking about roasted chestnuts.
Roasted chestnuts, warm spiced waffles, hearty bowls of thick pea soup, and of course, hot drinks like mulled wine and cider.
And the sources stress that presentation is key. There's no modern branded takeaway experience.
That's right. Every detail serves the illusion. Food is served from rustic wooden stalls, you drink from heavy metal mugs, and everything is wrapped in simple parchment. That refusal to use plastic is a small but vital commitment.
And that shared experience, gathering around a fire, sipping something warm, becomes a social bridge.
It reinforces one of Dickens's core themes, the importance of community, of human connection, especially during the colder, darker times of the year. It shifts you from being an observer to a participant.
So let's connect all this dedication to the bigger picture. This level of immersion must have a huge impact, both locally and culturally.
It really does.
And it all runs on that volunteer engine. We have to come back to the 1,000+ volunteers. How do the logistics of that even work year after year?
It's a massive undertaking. They operate as this close-knit community where preparation starts almost as soon as the last festival ends.
So that's rehearsals, costume workshops.
Intensive costume workshops, detailed planning for crowd management, for the whole historical transformation.
And the sources highlight this is often a generational thing.
It is. Families participate together, they pass down character roles, costumes, and the knowledge of how to create the illusion from one generation to the next. That continuity keeps the commitment really deep and genuine.
So even though the festival's non-commercial, it's free to enter, it must have a pretty significant economic impact.
Oh, undeniable. And beneficial.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands of visitors provide a major boost to local businesses, especially hotels and restaurants, during what would normally be a quiet time of year.
But there's a crucial balance.
The balance is preservation. Economic activity is only allowed as long as it doesn't break the illusion. Shop windows are decorated in period style. Modern advertising is hidden. It's a unique model for cultural tourism that puts community values first.
So what does this all mean for the visitor? The experience is described as deeply memorable, emotionally resonant.
It forces everyone, performers and visitors alike, into a slower rhythm. It encourages you to just wander, to observe, to engage. It's a vital, temporary escape from the noise of the modern world.
And it reinforces those universal holiday themes of kindness and generosity.
Exactly. Values that resonate just as strongly today. The festival is this powerful example of how literature can transcend both time and geography.
It shows how Dickens' English stories, which are so rooted in 19th century Britain, can be reinterpreted.
And flawlessly executed in a Dutch historical setting. It creates this powerful cross-cultural dialogue that honors the past while feeling incredibly relevant today.
Which brings us to the close of our deep dive. The Deventer Charles Dickens Festival isn't just a holiday event. It's a living, breathing narrative built on meticulous detail, astonishing community passion, and the enduring power of that Victorian social commentary.
It is a total suspension of disbelief, engineered by 1,000 people who truly believe in the power of history and story.
And that leaves us with our final provocative thought for you to explore, drawn right from our source material.
The festival's success relies entirely on the community's dedication to making visitors feel like active participants in the story. So, if a community is this successful in bringing a literary world to life, what other shared historical or fictional narratives, maybe something from your own culture that deals with empathy and social connection, could be brought into the physical world on this massive scale to inspire a similar level of meaning?
What narrative deserves that level of communal dedication?
It doesn't show signs of suffering, and I've also gone for puppy. The lights are turned way down low. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. When we finally kiss goodnight, how I hate going out in the storm. But if you really hold me tight, all the way home I'll be warm. The fire is slowly dying, and my dear, you still goodbye. And as long as you love me so, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. When we finally kiss goodnight.
Wenst het wel, ja.
If you haven't got a hey penny, will God bless you. Christmas is coming, the peace is getting